Hello, I believe we are live. Thank you for joining me. If you are watching live or on replay for that matter, do say hello in the comments and let me know who you are, where you're tuning in from. Also, hello to listeners of the podcast, which I think I'm renaming by this stage from the Real Talk with Ree podcast to the Organised Life with Ree podcast. So, hello, wherever you are tuning in from. Today, we're doing a bit of a general chit chat. I've had lots of questions sent in for a little bit of an Ask Me Anything, a little bit of just a general catch up with you guys. In future, we're going to be talking about more specific topics in and surrounding um, just being more organized. Generally, as a mum, I know not all of you out there are mums, but generally, we're going to be talking about how to get more organized as a mum, specifically if you're parenting in a neurospicy household. So, if you've got additional challenges, such as children with autism, or perhaps you, like me, have ADHD and you find getting organized that little bit more challenging, we're going to be covering all of that. I've just realized I've not put my phone on filming mode, so I'm going to do that very quickly before it rings and disturbs us. So, hi, joining live, we've got Emma, we've got Paige. Hello, Emma. Emma says, this is the perfect time for to listen along while ironing. Perfect. That is actually quite interesting. If you're watching on replay, this is going live. It is Tuesday morning at 9:30. This time works for me perfectly because my children are in school, so it's kind of my work and filming time. But yeah, does this time work for you for live? And if you are watching on replay or listening on replay, when would be convenient for you live? So anyway, I have got some questions, a whole bunch of questions sent in on Instagram, which I have popped over here in a little bit of a list. So I'm just going to apply through as many as possible. But if you are joining live, Layla says hello. If you are joining live and you've got any specific questions, drop them in the chat and I will get to those in a second. Okay, so Louise Jess says, how are you doing since your endometrial ablation? I was getting straight to it. So let me say, I think it was 2023 I had that. Is that right? So brief history of time for those who are new-ish around here. Did I introduce myself, by the way? Hello, my name's Rihanna Morgan. Everyone calls me if you're new. Hello. Forgot to introduce myself. Anyway, in 2023, I had an endometrial ablation because I'd been having, basically since I'd stopped breastfeeding our youngest, who's now 8. So Zara was born in 2017. I stopped breastfeeding her when she was 2. My periods came back just before that because it was just like I was only breastfeeding at night, so my periods came back just before that. And they came back aggressively, like aggressively. And it was like postnatal bleeding every month. It was horrific. And I've got to say, the doctors were not super helpful. Even the female doctors my age were very, oh well, it's just your aging because you've had children. I was just like, I don't think this is normal. So first message, if you are having women's problems and being made to feel, I had to put those in air quotes, and being made to feel like, oh, it's just something you've got to get on with, just shut up and get on with it. No, 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 no. You should not be made to suffer in silence. So I eventually managed to get referred. It took a really long time. Got to see, I got under consultant care, but was fobbed off and fobbed off and fobbed off. Eventually, I went down to the desk in the like the reception in the office, the reception desk on the ward where I was supposed to be seen. And they said, look, just between you and me, ring the complaints number because it's just not on. And then suddenly everything got dealt with very, very quickly. So I stopped being fobbed off by the other doctors I'd been seeing, the registrars, so the consultants, the top ones, and the registrars, the underneath ones. The top consultant phoned me and just said, yeah, this just isn't acceptable. So he booked me in for this endometrial ablation, which is basically like searing a steak on the inside of your womb. Not the best, but it was the best thing because it really it stopped so much of the heavy bleeding. They did say it might not last forever, and I will admit my periods are back to, they're not as bad as they were. It's not like, it was like postnatal hemorrhaging for over a week, but they are long now, like 10 days. All of this is very bizarre for me because I have not had regular periods throughout my whole life. It's only since stopping having my children, my periods became regular at all, which is bizarre. It's like it only takes having babies in order to fix polycystic ovaries. So it is all very odd to me. I would massively suggest tracking your cycle. Women, all women, whether you want to have children, you don't want to have children. I learned about cyclical living so recently, and I wish someone had told this to me. This is what I'm going to be teaching my girls. Track your cycle so you know what's going on in your own body. You know when your energy levels are going to be different. You know when you're going to be high energy at certain phases of your cycle. I could talk about this for a whole episode, a whole chat if you want me to go into this in more depth. But long story short, I don't regret having it done. It wasn't like at the time they gave me a really good sedative, so I didn't really feel it. I was in a fair amount of pain for a day or so afterwards, but totally worth it if you are having heavy periods. They found polyp, I think, as well, which was causing some of the bleeding, but would definitely do it again. And I don't know whether to, maybe this is my sign to do it actually, go back to the doctors and be like, hey, things are getting heavy again, because if it's going to take a year to get referred, then maybe I need to have it done again. I don't know. But if anyone is umming and ahhing over it and it's something that's been offered to you, it's worked really, really well for me. Okay. Victoria Bell says, are you okay? You've been really quiet on Insta and aren't showing as much home life. Okay, so yes, I am. I'm good at now. There have been, how do I put this without oversharing? I don't want to be cryptic, but it's really awkward because there's kind of some things when you do what I do for a living that you are like, yes, I am going to share this online, and some things you're not going to share online. And if things are, I feel, involving other people, it's kind of not my place to share it. So the last couple of years have been turbulent. Okay, they have been challenging. Um, I am okay. The reason I'm not sharing as much home life is largely my attempt to have better boundaries with my own work-life balance, and endeavoring to get all of the kind of the getting the camera out and stuff and filming while the children are in school and trying to be more present when they're home. It's not to say that I never work when they're home, but I do attempt now to fit more of my work stuff during the daytime. I also know there is this natural evolution where there may come a point where they don't want to be filmed at all. And I always ask their kind of permission before I film anything. Like, you're right for me to do this, you're right to be in this. Um, and then obviously they don't mind being on camera because when we're away, I vlog the whole trips, and they're very much like, if I try and put the camera away, they're very much like, let me film this, I want to remember this. So it's just largely me trying to strike a little bit of better balance. Also, my one of my goals for this year is not to burn out. I really have struggled with burnout phases over the last few years since lockdown, really. I mean, I think a lot of us were thrown into a very difficult time during lockdown. As during lockdown, I think when I got COVID and I took a month to get back on my feet, I think that was more burnout than it was COVID. I mean, obviously, I had COVID, I tested positive for it, but the reason I recovered so slowly from it, I think, is because I was so burnt out. So I was getting up at 4:30 every morning to work, and then I was dealing with the children and homeschooling and still trying to work. And I was pretty much for the a chunk of the lockdown, I was the only one earning any money because obviously my husband couldn't go out and work because of the lockdown. And then it was just a very challenging time. So I'm trying to get out of that fight or flight mode that I was in and into, hey, it's okay to take rest and breaks and things so you don't burn out. And part of that is why I'm not showing as much on Instagram. That, and I feel that my focus has changed. So I know Instagram's important for connecting with you guys and things, but I want to put more of my energy into stuff that's more evergreen. I think it really gives me life when I get messages from people saying, oh, this video did, it really helped. And often these videos are old, as in they are not recent. So anything you post on Instagram, obviously stories only last 24 hours. Posts have a very short lifespan, whereas the stuff I put here on YouTube, I still get people saying, "Oh, thanks so much for this video about cloth nappies I did when Zara was a baby and she's 8." So I feel that that value really lives on. So I think I'm trying to be a bit more intentional about where I'm putting my focus, if that makes sense. So yes, I am okay. But yeah, trying to walk that line between burnout and balance and all the things. Again, something I could talk about all day, really. Okay. Ooh, okay. Oh, good one here. Lisa says, we never hear you talk about your parents or siblings. Okay. No. Okay. Let's put this delicately. I have two sisters. I'm the eldest daughter. So when you watch all of those things that are like, hey, if you're the eldest daughter who is a high achiever in school and da 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 da, how's your ADHD and high functioning, people pleasing and da 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 working out for you, and I'm like, oh, I feel seen. Um, I don't wish to say anything negative, so I don't generally discuss. Better to say nothing than to say anything that is negative will get me in trouble. Um, I have a relationship with my father. My parents are no longer together, and his wife. That's fine. I have my middle sister who I'm in touch with. My mother and younger sister. I don't think I've ever discussed this actually at all. My mother and younger sister, it's the best way to put it, have chosen to remove themselves from my life and my other sister's life. I think I probably need to just stop there before I get myself in trouble. But um, yeah, um, strained. Let's just put it that way. Okay, on to lighter things. Are you looking forward to your cruise once upon upon a family trip? Yes, very much. I think there's another. Where's your next? Jilly Bean says, "Where's your next holiday going to be?" Gemma said, "Where would you like your next trip?" Okay, so that's and Lucy says, "Any trips abroad in the next few months?" Katie says, "Any Disney trips planned?" Okay, so let's kind of take all these in one. So all of the trip videos and vlogs and things are now going to be on my travel channel. I haven't decided, perhaps you guys can help me here actually. If I'm doing packing videos, I have done packing videos and I've put them on this channel because I'm like in my head, this channel is like home and organizing, and I pack at home, and being and packing is an organization thing. I've always put Disney packing on my what's now my travel magical adventures channel. But do you think packing videos belong here or on my travel channel? Answer in the comments. Would love to know. Um, Next trips we've got coming up. We've got Alton Towers. We've got a press trip to Alton Towers very, very soon. In fact, I have already asked my children to do a list for that. So what I always do with packing, my first stage of packing, is I take one of the sheets from. Let's see if I've got my planner here. That'd be better to have it organised, wouldn't it? My organised mini break planner is not here. It's not here. My organised mini break planner, I've got like printable versions of my planners and I've got printed planners. And I prefer the printed, like the book version, to take away with me generally, because it's just nice and convenient and small. But I use the printed sheets more often than not for planning because I pop them on these clipboard boards. I bought like quite a few packs of these clipboards, and they're so handy for things. So what I do is I just have this grid and I ask everyone to fill out what they would like to wear each day. And then I'm like, okay, well, now you told me what you want to wear each day. Don't wear those things between now and when we go. Give me those things and then we put them away for packing. So I've got to the stage, it's that close where I've asked them for what they want to pack. I've started to scoop everything up. I need to physically pack it all quite soon. So that is coming up. I won't share the exact dates of when we're there until closer to the time, just because I feel that's like child safety-ish type thing. I know often if we're going to somewhere like Disney, I say where we're going, the when we're going, but not where we're staying. But I feel like Alton Towers is that little bit smaller, so I don't announce it till we're there or after we've left generally. So Alton Towers is coming up very, very soon. Disney Cruise, obviously we've got that coming up. If you saw, I did a live chat that Will was involved in, and that was on the weekend. So full details of that over there. That's slightly different because obviously I have said which cruise we're going on, but then I feel like the cruises are so safe that the security to get on them is insane. I never get involved with fish extenders or anything and share our room number. I always try and, when I'm sharing my screen, doing all the online check-ins and stuff, I always blur out room numbers and reservation numbers and things, just again, child safety. But I do share which cruise we're going on. So let me know if any of you are going to be sailing on the Disney Fantasy. We are going to be on the sailing on the 31st of July. So would love to say hi to as many of you as possible. But yeah, that's why I'm a bit more sketchy. I think it's just, I feel like if we're in the UK and it's like a really paranoid way to think, isn't it? But because I know most of you are just absolutely wonderful human beings, but you've got to be careful about that 0.00001% or whatever. And I feel like if it's an easy to access place you could just drive to, then that I've got to be a bit more careful about where I'm sharing locations and things. I don't know. It's just how it goes in my head anyway. Okay, would you ever do a Disney cruise from Barcelona? Would love to. Would love to. My husband really wants to do the transatlantic cruise. Obviously, they're not doing the transatlantic back with the Fantasy because they're doing a refurb this year, but he'd love to do that. I would love to do all of the other ships, really. The Treasure. I know there's one going out of Singapore. It's like the Adventure. Um, those that ultimately the ones that are from Southampton, they're so easy for us. And I know some people get a bit like, oh, but they're not as they're more expensive than the ones flying out of America. But by the time you factor in the flights to America, it's such a lot of money just to fly there, especially when there's 5 or 6 of us. So I find that the cruises from the UK are really good value from that point of view. And if you think about when we got off the Wish, we got off the Wish at 10 a.m. We were back at MCO, the airport, like 11, half 11. We didn't fly till what, 7 in the night. Then it was what, 8, 10 hour flight home. And then we had to get back to Wales from Heathrow. So getting back from Florida is a slog. So the Southampton one's really good, but Barcelona would be like a quite neat, a short hop. Right, Aisha says, will you go back to Disneyland Paris? I'm going to take a swig at this point. Mm. By the way, I'm currently into these, which I have from either Amazon. I think sometimes I get them from Sainsbury's as well. They're really yummy. I feel like, I don't know if they're actually healthier, but they say enzyme electrolytes on them. So in my head, it's healthier and they help me concentrate. So I don't know. Don't judge me. Are they healthy? Are they not healthy? I'm not sure. Will we ever go back to Disneyland Paris? Yes. I've got something in the pipeline for that. Okay. I can't tell you exact details yet, but there's something in the pipeline. John Bransfield one says, love your Walt Disney World vlogs in Florida. Will there be any more? I mean, a million percent. There's no way we're not going back to Florida. Will's also really keen to do Universal, Epic Universe. So really keen to do that. I think it's a case of like, after, ideally in Florida, I would rather go when it's not the hottest time of the year because I think the children will cope so much better. January was perfect for us, but obviously, like the school has been amazing with allowing time and stuff. But perhaps as Will moves into exam years, they're not going to be as happy with that. I don't know. But yeah, just looking at that, I also really want to do California. And a question for the Q&A from Lily's Nails is, will you ever go back to Warmwell? Wow, Warmwell we did in 2019, so before COVID. The kids were tiny. Yeah, we loved it there. That was fun. That was like a holiday, park, lodges and stuff. Yeah, we would definitely go back from there. Back to that. Right, Gemma says, do you think you will ever move from your current house? I mean, at the moment, we're really happy here. In an ideal world, I would have an extra permanent bedroom for Dylan for when he's home, because at the moment it's sort of readjusting the space when he's home versus when he's not home. Um, we are thinking about maybe doing an extension option. At the moment, the idea of moving, I'd be like, oh no, but never say never. If you were like, okay, wave magic wand, what would you do? I'd love to do a self-build. That would be amazing. And just do everything exactly like, 'cause obviously my husband's a builder, so he's built lots of houses, but I would love us to build one together. And by us, I mean me come up with some ideas and him to make the magic happen. That would be amazing. I would love that. But there's nothing on the cards for that at the moment. That would be such a huge undertaking, such a huge project. Um, but yeah, so if we're talking like magic wand, what's your big wishes? I'd love that. That would be amazing. And just design each space just so like the flow would be amazing. The organization would just be amazing. They wouldn't, you wouldn't have any of the awkward things that you have when you just get a house that's already a shape. You can figure all that stuff out. I would love that. Um, but no plans at the moment. But never say never, never say never. We may move if that was kind of if that was an option. Okay, have I, Tuck Biscuit says, have I ever been tested for autism? Okay, so those of you who don't know, I have 4 children with autism. I have a husband who has undiagnosed autism, but it's pretty universally agreed based on what we know and every online test he's ever filled in that, yeah, he has autism too. And I was diagnosed with ADHD at age 40. I'm 41 now. I did all the same screenings and things as my husband and came out as incredibly unlikely to have autism. And then when I was going through the ADHD process, they did screenings and things then, and they agreed that no, not autism that we're looking at with me, it's ADHD. So it's all on the spectrum, it's all neurodiversities, and there are some crossovers between autism and ADHD, and I think I did a whole podcast episode back like I think that was on my actual podcast channel where I talked about the similarities and differences between autism and ADHD. But no, I have been tested for autism. No, I don't have autism. Yes, I do have ADHD. Um, yeah, the big some of the things that work for the children with autism also work for me, but kind of for totally different reasons. Like if you take your example, routine. For the children, they need it to feel safe and secure. For me, I need it so I can remember what I'm supposed to be doing. And it just automates things and makes my life easier. So if you take, for example, when I can remember when we were last year, we were on the cruise and our stateroom was a mess, there was stuff everywhere, and everyone's trying to get ready to go. And I just couldn't figure out what I should be doing next. And I realized then how much I rely on knowing where things are and knowing what I should be doing next. And that routine at home helps me do things quickly and not spend time walking around in circles, just going, I know I should be doing something and I can see a lot of things that need to be done, but I can't figure out what I should be doing first and in which order. And so routine works for both of us, but for totally different reasons. So I hope that makes sense. Are any of your children in the specialist enhanced provision? Says Lindsay. No. So when Will was first diagnosed, Will is baby number 2, and he was diagnosed first, and then the girls, and then I think Dylan was last. Dylan and Zara around the same time. No, Dylan was last, I think. Dylan and Zara were a similar time they got diagnosed. Um, anyway, there was a woman that came to the house, and I found her super unhelpful. So after, it didn't happen with any of the others actually, but after Will was diagnosed, a woman came to the house. I've blocked most of it out because she really wound me up. But Will was already in mainstream school at the time, but he was, let's just say, a very different child to the child that you know now. He was a lot more obvious then, I suppose. A lot more obvious. I don't, not that he necessarily masks now, but he just, oh, I don't know. I guess he's just an absolute poster child for early intervention. Anyway, when he was very small and he was first diagnosed, he couldn't be bothered to do the things the other kids in his class were doing. He was just quite happy doing his own thing. He wouldn't wear shoes indoors at all. There were quite a lot of, let's just call them quits. And this woman was basically telling me to make peace with the fact he was never going to be in mainstream school, even though he already was in mainstream school. And I just thought, well, that's really unhelpful because you don't know how this child's going to develop. You don't know how well the things we're going to put in place are going to help him. And I'm not saying that I would have been averse to him being in an enhanced provision or a special educational needs school if that's what he required. Absolutely, if that's what he needed. But I just felt it was really unhelpful that this woman was just making this kind of snap judgment when she didn't really know anything about him at the time. So no, they're all in mainstream school. Will has, because one of the other questions is, do any of your children have an EHCP, which I think is the same thing as an IDP in Wales? Basically, it used to be called a statement, which was sort of a legally binding thing. You used to have to go to panel and then you get this statement, and it was a long-winded process. So had that for Will, applied for that for Bella just before it ended, and this panel thing was like, no, we don't think she qualifies for it, which is madness because actually she came out with a higher score, like of more difficulties than Will. She's just a girl masking all things. Anyway, then very quickly after that, um, COVID, or maybe it was around the same time, COVID happened, and then the whole system changed. So now, in Wales at least, the school gets a budget for all of their educational needs provision. This is how it works in Wales anyway. So it used to be that a statement came with money for the child, and now it's like, this is the pot of money that you get, and if you've got one child with special educational needs or every child in the school, then divide that up between them, and that's, you get the same pot of money. I know there's extra money for other things, not to do with special educational needs, but that's apparently how it's working, according, that's what I've been told by our school. So the children, they can put in plans and IDPs and all these things within the school, but it's a lot more challenging, especially in our children's schools, quite underfunded. It can be quite challenging to get the help. So Will still has, because he had this statement when he was very small, that's kind of in place for his whole education now. I'm in the process of trying to get more put in place for the girls, not because I don't trust the school they're in now, because I do, and they're looked after amazingly well without a piece of paper to say this is how we need to look after them. I've had such a great relationship with the children's school, with their teachers. I speak to them at, not so much drop-offs because they tend to go to breakfast club, but I speak to them at pickups, really have such a good dialogue with the school. My concern is when they move to secondary school, then obviously you're not going to have that same one-to-one relationship with the teachers. You're not going to know them inside out. Each teacher can't know your child inside out. So I need more kind of in place. So in the process of working through that. Okay, let's have a little look at some comments, which I've got over here. CLM says, hi, Ree. Melissa says, hey, about to have my second baby. We'll have two under two. What are your top tips from going to 1 to 2 children? Right. This was me every time I was about to have another baby going, if I don't get my act together now, I'm in trouble. Okay. First of all, Melissa, so you're gonna have two under two. So you're not gonna have to like be anywhere by a certain time necessarily, but I'm guessing you're going to have things that you have to be places for a little bit more than when you had your first baby. So I think when you have your first baby, if you want to just sleep when the baby sleeps and just follow their routine totally, you can totally do that. But then when you have another child that generally needs to perhaps already be in a routine, perhaps already sleep at a certain time, have breakfast at a certain time, lunch at a certain time, play group at a certain time, you might have like baby music class or toddler gym or whatever. There's going to be an element of routine naturally imposed upon you. And definitely when you've got, it's not so much with 2 under 2 because obviously they're both still quite small, but when you've got a baby and anyone of school or having to be at nursery or whatever age, then there's so much routine naturally imposed. So personally, what I would do, and I've made lots of videos about this. I think I've got lots of blog posts about this, but I just lent more into routine because the routine was already there, because there were certain elements I couldn't get around. I thought, well, I can fight this or I can lean into it. And to me, routine, which sounds mad actually for someone with ADHD, but routine isn't restrictive, it's actually freedom. And when you get into terms with that, then it's like a light bulb moment. And it's not restrictive. It's not like I've got to be here at a certain time. It's like if I do this at a certain time, then my children are happier and I have more freedom because I'm not dealing with as many meltdowns or upset children, and we've got more free time. And I know I can see my empty blocks of time and windows and things. So obviously newborn babies don't all want to be in routine straight away. And I'm not suggesting you like force a baby into routine that they're not ready for, but lean more into routine and do the preparation now. Don't leave things till like when baby's here. Like if you've got baby things to sort through and whatever, try and get some of that pregnancy stuff done now. While you're pregnant, you've got a bit of time. Sort all that stuff now. I even picked names before the baby was born because I did not trust myself in that postnatal haze to pick sensible names. So we named the babies. We just did all the things we could do just to free up a bit of bandwidth, and then just accept help. Accept help. Have some help and support around you. If people want to make you dinner, let them. If people want to buy you a baby present, ask for ask for vouchers for a cleaning service and get someone to clean your house. That's a great present. You've probably got all the baby stuff you need. Or ask someone to just come vacuum for you. That's a brilliant present. If you want to go and look after someone who's just had a baby, help them. Don't say I'll hold the baby while you can do stuff. I've had people do that to me. That's totally unhelpful. Say, what do you need? What can I do? You know, I want to bring you dinner. What do you like? Let me come and help take some of the other pressure off. So yeah, in short. Right, CLM says, can people judge like that? Remember my dad saying, God bless him, he knew better. He's never going to get a job. My thought was, you can say that, you don't know that. Yes, I assume we're talking back about the autism thing. I know. I think this is something, and this is something I'm going to talk about live next week, I think. I had a comment on a video, which I'm just going to expand upon next week, that basically said, I think it was a comment about I was talking about cleaning, a cleaning video, and it was a comment about, "Oh, I don't understand. How could you? I don't understand why it's more difficult to keep your house clean and tidy in a neurodiverse household." And it just made me think so much that there are so many things until you are parenting in a neurodiverse household. There are so many hidden difficulties and struggles that you don't see from the outside, because if you are one of those parents that's really, just seem to be like holding it all together, people are like, oh, you're fine. You don't see. So we're going to talk about that in depth next week because I think there's a lot to be said there, and it's not going to be a rant or a moan. It's going to be, hopefully, if you are a parent in that situation, hopefully it will make you feel seen and heard. And if you are supporting anyone, or if you're just in a neurotypical family, hopefully it will help you have more understanding and empathy for friends and family that you know who parent neurodiverse children. And for a lot of you, it's just going to be something you're going to want to send to people that don't get it. So that's going to be next Tuesday. Okay. Lee says, how do you find the age gap between your kids? I have almost 8-year-old and 6-year-old, and I'm currently 27 weeks pregnant with baby number 3. Congratulations. I'm not sure where the dynamics will change. In a way, I found it was easier because when you have got a school drop off, so again, you're really going to have to lean into routine because you've got an 8-year-old and a 6-year-old, you're already having to take them to school. They already have bedtimes because they've got to have bedtimes because of school. Therefore, they're going to, on the weekends, they're going to want to eat lunch the same times they eat in school. You're going to have to take them to school. So you're already going to have a lot of routine. And that's why I really lent into it with Will. As it happens, he thrives on routine and a lot of the autism stuff, then that's probably why he was doing as well as he was, even though he needed to be assessed. He was very content. I lent into routine because I thought, well, that's the only way I can make it work around taking care of our older child. But it really helped him because really made him thrive. And then as it happens, I knew how much routine helped Will. Plus, it helped me stay on top of things. Plus, it meant I could, feed the babies around school runs and things. And then all my subsequent children were parented with the same kind of routine, which also helps children with autism. Now, I don't think the neurotypical children, I mean, I don't know, I don't have neurotypical children, but I can't see neurotypical children not benefiting from routine. So I would just really lean into that. Just things like I know that breastfed babies need to be fed on demand, but really there are certain times where if they're demanding it, they can't have it because you are driving the car to school or you're like literally walking and they're in the pram and you can't like necessarily, I mean, you could in a baby carrier, but it's going to be really challenging to breastfeed a newborn baby while you're like literally at school gates, isn't it? So for me, from that, I was like, right, well, okay, well, I don't want to feed them then. So I need to make sure I've woken them up and fed them this amount of time before that. And I kind of built the routine backwards from that so that I knew my small baby would have a full enough tummy during those times where I was just really going to struggle to feed them because I was doing pickups and drop offs and things like that. So from that point of view, routine was my best friend. But also, I think as long as your children are kind of brought into the excitement of it, I know that perhaps you may be worried about them being, I don't know, jealous of the baby or whatever. But just, I think it's just about kind of making it a fun thing, like how exciting they get to be the big siblings now, and they've got this new, little sibling. Having fair ground rules. So I was never big on letting my older kids like manhandle the babies. It was always quite like they can play with them when they're a bit older and they get more robust. But they like decide on your ground rules. You're going to go ahead with whether they're going to be allowed to pick them up or not. And if not, kind of just preempt that in advance. Be like, right, well, when they're very tiny, it's very difficult with their heads. So you'll be able to give them a cuddle if we put them on your lap, but you won't be able to pick them up yourself. And just these expectations in advance. And I would as well have like a little um, bag of just, they don't have to be expensive things, but like coloring books, magazines, little like presents that perhaps you could have for your other kids, because chances are the baby is going to have a lot of presents and a lot of fuss made of them. And if you could perhaps just ask your guests that come to see the baby to make a fuss of your older kids first before they make a fuss of the baby, then that's probably going to be really helpful too. Katie's room said, do you have any tips for helping children cope with dentist and doctor appointments? Love all your videos, so helpful during the fight for an autism assessment. Katie, I'm so glad it helps. Peppa Pig's always been my best friend when it comes to showing children what to expect. How old are your kiddos, Katie? Peppa Pig, it's like social stories. So social stories are just this format of showing children what to expect for things. And Peppa Pig will have one about going to the dentist, about going to the doctors, about getting on an aeroplane. And like when they go to the airport, they put their stuff through the conveyor belt. Peppa Pig, great for that kind of stuff. There's probably newer shows. My children are a bit older that are out. I don't know if Bluey or something has something similar, but Peppa Pig is really good for showing them. Like I would always show them, even now. I mean, they're a bit older now. They've been to the dentist, they know what the dentist and the doctor and everything. But Zara would still probably watch a Peppa Pig episode about going to the dentist before going to the dentist. Woolly and Tig was a show. I don't know if that's still around, where there was like she was basically a little girl and she didn't want to do stuff. And the spider came along and told her to sort her attitude out, and then she did. That was the basic premise of every episode. Who remembers Woolly and Tig? But there would be an episode where she starts school and then she's like, I don't want to do that. And the spider's like, hey, it might be fun. She's like, oh, and school is fun. So shows like that can be really good to show them in advance. And yeah, if your children, if you're on the pathway for an assessment, your kids are like mine, it's just about like, look, this is what to expect. And the more they know about what to expect, then the better prepared they're going to be, the less stressed out they're going to be. So maybe there will be videos or photos, probably photos online of your dentist practice. The other thing you could do in advance is you could just go to reception and just say, look, my child has autism and they're really stressed about coming to the dentist. Could I please just take a photo of the reception room, take a photo of the waiting room, take a photo of the like dentist's room, and just like it doesn't have to have anyone in it, but just to show them what's going to happen. And if you can show them that, then a lot of the anxiety is coming from the unknown. It's also really helpful when they are there, especially if they are doing okay and they're not having a meltdown, to take photos of them. And then you can be like, hey, do you remember last time you went there? Here's a photo of you. Like, are you smiling? It's all good. But yeah, that's always really, really helped me. I've always tried then to take photos, and then maybe you've got photos like your older kids at the dentist. I don't know, maybe it's just me that takes photos of the kids at the dentist. But then in my head, I'm like, I'm taking this photo so when they need to come again and I need to show them, then they'll know it's okay. Apologies, my stomach's rumbling. Hopefully you can't hear that. Suzanne says, hi, Ree. Rep Pro Rider. Hi, Ree. We're on to Walt Disney World for the DAS pass with autism? Do you literally just say autism is one of the problems they're struggling to cue and they accept that, or do we have to expand on more on why? Okay. We haven't applied for DAS since the system changed, but it is my understanding that you need to, and just saying they have autism isn't going to be enough. You need to explain. So I would just explain, well, in school, they have this provision. When we go to other theme parks in the UK, they have this provision. When they have to queue for long extended periods of time, then they get stressed for this reason. Just explain the challenges they have. They get overwhelmed by this. So queues are one of the biggest things that my kids struggle with, to be honest, like waiting for things. It is one of their biggest struggles. Um, and then maybe if your child has like additional sensory needs, then explain that. Just, yeah, I would make a list before you get on the call of all the things you want to mention. So you're not having to go like, oh, my mind's blank, I can't think. But I have spoken to people online, but I've spoken to people who have been through the DAS process since, and I've asked them for how it went. And they just, each of them has said that they've just explained the exact things within the theme park that your child would find challenging without it. I have got an entire video on the DAS system, which is the Disability Access System at Walt Disney World, but I did film it before the system changed. So a lot of it's still relevant, but there are things that have changed. Did any of your children have problems moving from one task to another? If so, how do you help them? My son struggles with this and has to finish what he's doing, which can take a while. Have you heard of a time timer? I mean, you can literally use, if your children are a little bit older, you could use something like a phone or an iPad's good because it's nice and big, and literally put a timer. So the biggest struggle that children tend to find with moving from one task to another is kids with autism seem to need a bit more of like notice before swapping tasks. Whereas if you can give them like, hey, you've got this much time, this much time, this much time left. A time timer is literally a device where it's like an egg timer, but there's a visual, it's like a red bit that disappears and you can see how much red is left, if that makes sense. But if your children can read and they're familiar with numbers, timers, just like a countdown timer where they can see how much time is left, works really well. I also use the alarm system for our routine. So I have an alarm going off, partly for my brain because I have ADHD and time blindness is the thing. But partly it's so that the children know this is the time, and at this time we move from doing this thing to this thing. So I have an alarm to say it's time to go downstairs for breakfast. So they clean the teeth, they get dressed after cleaning their teeth, and it's a bit toothpaste everywhere, and then I do the girls' hair. And then there is an alarm to say it's time to go downstairs because after I've done their hair, they can have a bit of time to play or whatever. There is an alarm to say it's the end of breakfast because they're not so bad now, but it used to take such a long time for them to eat breakfast. And then, I mean, you could maybe snooze the alarm and or be like, hey, that means it's nearly time, finish your cereal and then take it away, but whatever. But alarms and timers really, really work for us. Lee says, thanks, Ree. My 6-year-old boy really struggles with changes in routines. That's something I've been able to lean into already. Hopefully, baby fits into the routine too. Yeah, I'm sure you'll be absolutely great, Lee. You're absolutely, you're going to smash this. But yeah, just leaning into it and just doing things like, yes, you can feed babies on demand, but if you can fit in, it's like I'm going to really try and wake them, change them, feed them at this time. So then I know I've got a block of time afterwards to do things like driving to toddler group or whatever, during which time, obviously, while you were driving a car, you cannot feed a baby. Then that's why routine is important to me. It's just so that you haven't got a distraught baby that's like, I'm a breastfed on demand baby and I demand feeding now while we're in the car and you can't feed me. There's nothing more upsetting than knowing your baby's hungry and you can't feed them. So that's why I kind of lent into routine. Catherine says, hi, Ria, love your videos and podcasts. They help me getting through my preventative cancer treatment. Oh, I hope you're okay. And thanks for being real, she says. I'm really glad it helps. So a little bit of a chat now. I have got a couple more questions, but I want to do a little bit of a chat about channels and what we're doing and all the things I've got coming up for you. So um, the last live I did talked about the podcast and what I'm doing. So initially I started the podcast, and obviously the audio podcast is just a normal podcast, and that hasn't changed at all. But originally the video versions were going on this channel. but I was trying to make them kind of very visual and very edited because I thought that's what people wanted on YouTube, especially if they come to this channel. But then I felt that that didn't really fit because it didn't sound conversational enough for just listening to the audio podcast. So I started a whole separate channel, built that up, got it monetized and all the things. But then I realized I'm just splitting my attention so much and burning myself out, totally burning myself out, trying to manage a podcast channel and then a main channel. And then I've got the travel channel, which has always got a Disney video on a Saturday. But then I was moving one of my main channel videos and that was becoming like a travel channel video when we're doing UK trips, and we're doing lots of those now because I'm a Million Annual Pass collaborator, so we're away doing those a lot. And I just was getting really stressed out, and I done a live for something else, maybe on the Disney Channel, and I just realized how much I enjoyed kind of connecting with people live. And I think the format works quite well for the podcast because obviously it's very chatty, conversational, quite raw and unedited. And ultimately, although I edit my videos because I want them to come across as I want them to come across as fun and enjoyable to watch. That's why I edit my videos, not because I want to edit who I am or my message or what I'm saying. Does that make sense? So I love these lives. I think the plan is for now, okay, let me know your thoughts on this. I think I'm going to stick to doing 2 videos a week on my main channel, and they'll be Tuesday and Thursday, and possibly make one of those alive either every week or definitely on weeks where I'm doing an extra video on my travel channel, because that way it takes some of the load off me because I'm not having to edit that. And it's just a really nice opportunity to kind of chat and catch up live. And then the audio from any video that would make sense without the video, I will also put on the podcast. And I think I'm renaming the podcast from the Real Talk with Marie podcast to the Organised Life podcast with Marie, or the Organised Life with Marie podcast, or Organised Life with Mummy. I don't know. Let me know. I've temporarily changed it for something. But yeah, there'll be a playlist on YouTube of episodes of the podcast, but they're also videos. You'll be able to listen on whatever podcast provider you prefer, but also through YouTube podcasts, because there is an app for YouTube podcasts. So you'll be able to listen to those too. So that is probably what we're going to be doing. I know next Tuesday we're going to do another live. It's kind of a bit of a test in the water thing. Obviously, if nobody's available to watch at those time, or people hate watching lives on catch up. I don't know. If you are watching on catch up, do let me know in the comments. Yay, hey, I'm watching on catch up and it's fine and I'm enjoying it. I'm assuming this is the kind of thing that you're not just sitting and watching on TV. You're kind of pottering. In fact, let me know what you're doing while you're watching / listening to this. In my head, you're all kind of half listening to me, but also like tidying up, or you're doing stuff while we're just hanging out together while you're doing stuff. But I would love to know what you're actually doing. I do have something very exciting to show you that I don't think I've shown anyone anywhere else yet. Well, it's in a video that if you're inside of my membership, so if you're inside of my Organised Life Club, you will have seen this. Let me just show you because I need to explain. I should have got this out earlier, shouldn't I? That would be more organised. No, that's the wrong one. Hang on. Right. So, my first planner I designed, and I still stand by, I still love it, is the Organised Life Planner. I wonder if that's the right one then. And this is a page a day. It's got planning for the week, page a day. I love it, but I felt I needed 2 pages a day because I wanted a space to record my gratitude practice, my 10 things a day, and I wanted a space to brain up my notes inside of the planner. So my Organised Life and Gratitude Planner was born. Okay. And this has got 2 pages a day and 30-minute time blocks. So 30-minute time blocks for me makes so much more sense, because actually you can get a lot done in half an hour, and so many things start like half past the hour or whatever. And I like to time block out my days. So today, obviously, I'm doing this with you guys first thing. Then I've got a time block where I'm going to declutter. I've put that into my planner, so I actually do it. And I've got a time block after that to edit that. And that means I won't spend the whole day decluttering, because actually I need to get on with some editing to actually get a video out. But also I will actually make sure it's done, because if it's not time blocked, it doesn't get done. But I felt I'd overcomplicated things by having like people out, a confused mind says no, after all, when and these are in a shop and I would like people to buy them because I know they're going to change your life. So I got the Organised Life Planner, I got the Organised Life and Gratitude Planner. Honestly, I was using this one more, but this is like a catchier name. So these two planners had a baby, and I present to you the Organised Life Planner 2.0. More covers are coming. I have got a whole bunch of covers, like different covers that are so pretty. Um, but I haven't decided which of those to launch yet. Obviously, I had to start with the pink one. This is my sample copy. I do need to tweak it a little bit because the edge of the QR code thing's cut off. So there are a couple of tweaks I need to make. But I'm so flipping excited about this, honestly. So it's like the best bits of the two. I've done a slight reformat on like fonts and stuff, but basically we've got week at a glance where you put everybody's your family names across the top, and then a rough like what everyone's doing that day. So I'd be like, like I've got like ballet this day, I'm taking Zara there that day, da 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 da. Bella, right, she's got netball, she's got karate, whatever. And then you just see at a glance what's coming up. From there, we do the meal plan. So based on what's happening like this week, so my husband would be like, okay, I'm not here. I'm out for my friend's birthday on so and so day, so I won't be there for food. So I'm like, right, okay, on that day I'll feed the children pizza because he hates pizza. So the children like pizza, we can do that, and then I can meal plan based on that. So like I know like tonight is a really busy night, and then maybe tomorrow's a really busy night. So we'll have an easier to make tea or a dinner that can be eaten in stages. Some meals you've got to eat as soon as they're made, and some you can kind of leave in the oven, and like a pasta bake or something could be eaten in stages as people come in and out of the house, for example. So I meal plan according to that. And then we've got the Eisenhower matrix, which I have changed a little bit. So I've got tasks that are important and urgent. Over here, I've got not important slash taxing. So as in not taxing. I use things like buy a birthday card would be an urgent thing, but not like a high stakes thing. So I thought, well, it's not fair to say a birthday card isn't important because that person's important to me, but it's not a taxing job. So that goes in this column. Anyway, I'll go into this in depth in future videos, but basically I've updated that. I've got the important tasks. You pick 3 like top priorities for each day of the week. And I've also included the habit tracker. So the habit tracker was missing from the gratitude planner. I've managed to include it here, but without having its entire page to itself, because obviously the more pages I put in, the more it puts the cost of the printing up, and then it puts the cost of your planners up, so that's not ideal. And then we've got the 2-page-a-day spread, so it's just a bit cleaner. The fonts are a bit clearer, so we've still got 30-minute time blocks, 3 top priorities a day to do today, and what we've decided we're going to do for today's meal plan. But I've changed the gratitude to the to-do list, which I'm flipping loving this, because this can be 10 things you're grateful for, but it can also be 10 things like as a win, like 10 things. So it could be something I'm grateful for. I'm grateful it's a really nice day. I'm so proud that I managed to get this thing decluttered. It can be something that went well, something you're grateful for, just 10 positives from the day. It could be things you're excited for from tomorrow, grateful for from today, anything like that. And honestly, when I do this, it makes such a difference. And the to-dos are better than the gratitude because each day is different. And sometimes I'm just like, I just need to count my wins, no matter how small they are. And maybe it's that, you got through a day where your child didn't have meltdowns about socks. Maybe that's your win for the day. And it can go in here and you can count those wins. And then I've changed the bit that says notes to brain dump, because that's literally what it is. This could also be called brain dump of all my side quests I want to do. And this is where, when I'm in the middle of a task that I should be doing, the task, and I come up with this amazing idea or this thing I need to remember, I just plonk it in here. I don't have to like go and find the right reminders list to put it in or anything. I just plonk it here, and then I deal with that at the end of the day, or I go through them at the end of each week. Anyway, this planner, I'm obsessed. Honestly, I'm so excited for it. Using these planners has absolutely changed my life. And ultimately, it's this one that's really changed my life. And this one is just everything I love about this and everything I love about the original one. And it's all stuck. I'm so excited. So these are now available in the store if you are in the market for a planner, if you would like to get on top of your life, if you are um, trying to get on top of your routine, if you are having a baby soon, then get your planning going. It's gonna change your flipping life. Honestly, the more planning you can do, planning a routine equals freedom. Trust me when I say this. Remember, if you are inside of my membership, inside of my Organised Life Club, there are specific discounts inside of there. So you can join. You go to mummyoffour.com/join. And whether you're in the free membership, there is a specific discount in there. I think it's inside of bonuses or something. You can find the specific code for your tier. And if you're inside of the paid club, there is a higher planner store discount inside of the paid club. And those codes are kind of hidden and you can only see them when you're members, if that makes sense. Coming up, we have got the end of this month, we've got the planning for June workshop where we sit and plan together. So I go through my organized year planner, and then together we reflect on the month that has been. We go through what worked, we go through what did not work, and together in real time, we answer these questions. You can do this on a bit of paper, you can do this in your planner, in the printed version, in the printable version. There are printables inside of the club that you can use, but we go through what's been working and then we go through what we want from the next month and we make concrete goals and plans and we plan for the month ahead for success. And I also share my goals with you, and there's accountability in there, so you can have the accountability to tell the group what you're planning to do. And then when you come back, because I found this like last month, I was, oh hang on, that's another thing I did, the autism journal. Last month, one of my goals was to finally complete the autism journey journal. And it was near the end of the month, and I realized I was going to have to come back to the planning session and say I hadn't done it. And it made me do it, honestly. So, where is it? Um, okay, throwing things on the floor. So this is my autism journey journal. The colors are not exactly like this when you get it because for some reason my printer, I don't know if it's out of yellow ink, but the colors are a bit funny. But anyway, other than that, it's the same. And this is everything you need to get you through the autism assessment process. I believe this is the bonus in, I should have checked this. I believe this is the bonus inside of the Organised Life Club this month. So if you join the Organised Life Club, that's £10 for the month. That's actually cheaper than just buying this in the shop. So the link, if you go to mummyof4.com/planner, that takes you to my planner store. It's available to purchase in there, but it's also inside of my Patreon. If you go to mummyof4.com/join, then you can download this. This is what I wish someone had given me. It just would have made such a difference. I've also got the routine assessment and action plan. This was the workshop we did at the beginning of the month, and we work through this entire workbook together, which is setting up your routine. So for those of you who are starting from scratch or you're starting a new routine, you're welcoming new babies into your family, and you want to look at your routine, where it is now and where you'd like it to be, this workshop is for you. The printable is inside of the Organised Life Club, inside of Read Your Routine Resources. If you go to mummyof4.com/join, then you can grab those and you can watch the replay of the workshop. Next month, we're doing a workshop all about mealtime routines and talking about everything we need to do in order to prepare for meal times, meal plan, but also talking about fussy eaters and all that kind of stuff. And I also got this for you guys, which is a freebie. This is a calm start guide to just kickstart your routine. If you go to mummyof4.com/routine, you can grab a copy of that for free. I think that's most of the admin I had to tell you. So yeah, we've got every month inside the Organised Life Club, we do a planning session. We sit down and plan together. So you can listen to me planning. I also put that on the membership exclusive podcast. So if you don't want to watch that, you want to listen to it afterwards as you're walking around doing your things, you can. But I'd highly recommend if you can make it live, and then you can actually commit to what you're going to be doing next month in real time. That accountability, I cannot tell you how good it is. Okay, let's have a look at what everyone is doing in the comments. Lee says, I love the live videos. It's almost like sitting down with a friend for a catch up. See, that's why I love it. That's how it feels for me. Is like, it sounds really bizarre because I'm just sitting here talking to my camera in my office by myself, but I do feel like I'm talking to my friends, and it's so nice that it does feel, that's exactly how it feels for me. So thank you. CLM says, I'm really enjoying your planners. Thank you so much for making them. I downloaded them. I download them for the membership every month. Oh, I'm so pleased. I'm so pleased. Like, I can't tell you how happy that makes me, because it's nice to have that feedback, because largely I am here just talking to myself. So again, I think that's why it's nice with lives, to be able to kind of to actually chat with you and have a bit more of a two-way conversation, rather than make a video, put it out there, and then days or weeks later it goes live and then people can this is nice. Okay, Louise, When I watch mostly, when I watch, I'm mostly watching, but also knitting orders. Yeah, it's the kind that's the kind of thing, isn't it? It's like there are certain things that I will only watch, like the new series, The Handmaid's Tale. I'm like, I'm not gonna be doing other stuff while I'm watching that because I wanna like watch it and dig in the details, you know? But most things, it's nice to have something on to kind of yeah, I like the idea of if you're watching or listening, we're kind of keeping each other company. That's how I see it in my head. Emma says, ironing finished now and changing the bed sheets. Thank you for making it more enjoyable. Oh, that's lovely. I'm so glad I can kind of we can hang out together. Anyway, so my next job now is to declutter. I think I'm gonna do my office because it's worse than it looks, okay? Like it doesn't look that bad, but the drawers and things are really starting to stress me out. And I think if you watch my decluttering series so far, I'm trying to take things in priority order of what's stressing me out the most, sorry, not the least, and what's going to make the most difference to my life and my mental health and my mind. So yeah, that's my plan. I think this because I spend so much time in here, it is stressing me out. I know I've been re-listening to the Marie Kondo book, and I know she's like, no, it's got to be done this, then this, it's all, and I feel like if I do that method where it's like, okay, I'm only going to do it and do it perfectly, I end up procrastinating from starting. Really, I've been putting off the office because what I should do is empty every single one of the boxes behind me, but I don't really have the time at the moment to dedicate a whole day to it. So, am I better off decluttering for an hour or two and really smashing it out and having great results, or procrastinating because I haven't got a whole day and not doing any at all? And the correct answer is done is better than best. So, yeah, that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to punch perfectionism in the face. I think there's a YouTube channel that says that, like that teaches people about YouTube. Punch perfectionism in the face. I'm going to borrow that, and I'm going to yeah, just they say it's they tell people to punch perfection in the face. I think it's Think Media when they're starting a YouTube channel. I'm going to punch perfectionism in the face and be like, okay, I can't dedicate a whole day to decluttering my whole house, but I'm going to do it anyway. And like part of me, when I realized I wasn't going to finish everything by the deadline I set for myself, I just wanted to give up. But do you know what? Progress over perfection all the way. So we're going to keep going. There's going to be a lot more decluttering stuff for you. Out of curiosity, how do you feel about music in the background with voiceover with decluttering? Do you like cleaning and decluttering videos with just music? Do you like them with music and voiceover? Or do you like them with just voiceover? What do you like with them? What do you like with them? Does it I think if it's just voiceover, it kind of feels like a podcast, but also stuff to look at. So maybe we'll lean towards that. I don't know. Experimenting with some formats, but ultimately I want to make videos that you guys want to see. So yeah, that's kind of what I want to do. So, with that being said, I could literally sit here and chat to you guys all day and I wouldn't have to do any decluttering, but I do need to go and do some decluttering. So make sure you come hang out with me on Organised Life Club. That's mummyoffour.com/join. Go and have a look at my new planner in the planner store. I have done a little like flip through video in there. So go and check that out. I have got teacher planners in the store if you are starting to think about ideas for end of year presents for teachers in your life, as in from your kids to their teachers. I've got teacher planners in there that you can check out. Um, yeah, so thanks for hanging out with me. And I don't want to say see you next Tuesday, that sounds rude, doesn't it? But we're going to be doing live again next Tuesday. And I will see you then, if not before.